you are well. If you are on, can you let me know if you can hear me? My voice tends to be a bit soft, and I have my air purifier on in the background. I've turned it down, so just let me know. So I am so happy to be on again. And, I have not been live, and I feel like it's been almost a year. I've had a lot of different posts that I've put on, but I don't think I've been live. So I'm excited to be here, and I also wanted to thank all of my followers because this last year has been crazy. You would not believe everything that has happened over this last year, and I am going to get into a life update, what we've been up to, and then I have something new to share with everybody. So I hope you're doing well, and I just wanted to first thank you, and then secondly just share with you just different things that's been going on with us. So last year we moved, okay, but it was a short-term move. We wanted to be near some friends that we had at the time, and we wanted to just help them out. There were some things going on with them that they needed some help with, and so we made a short-term move. And the idea was that we were going to move again, but not too far from where we were living. So this was last summer, okay? So after that, we were there for several months. When we started looking for houses, we found one that we were interested in, but it was still being remodeled. So we waited. Then that was, oh my goodness, that was actually in the winter early, this year, but early, February-ish, February, I think almost March. So we looked at this particular house. But they were remodeling it, and they thought it would be done in so many weeks, okay? So then the summer came. Can you believe it? So summertime hits, and we're like, okay, we're gonna go on vacation. We had a little lake house, and so we were there for a while. And the expectation was after our vacay, we would move into this new house. Oh my goodness, guys. It didn't happen the way we had planned, because then what happened was that they were still remodeling the house. So then we moved into a rental house. So we were in the rental for a few months, waiting for this other house to be ready. Well, finally, my realtor came to me, and she's like, the contractors still are not done. But there's another house that's really cute, and I think that you'll really like this one. So we wound up moving into the new house, which is where we're at now. So we have been here for less than a month, and we love it, actually. And it's crazy because it wasn't what it's not the area that we were expecting, but it's even better. So we love the house. It has 2 balconies. There's a big backyard for the kids. It's all the rooms are really big. The house itself is over 100 years old. It has this cute fireplace, and it has this huge kitchen, and all the rooms are just really, really big. So finally we are feeling settled, and we have moved into our new house, and that's all awesome. Okay, so that is my life update. So thank you for being patient with me. We just had so much going on, trying to figure out when we were moving to our house for now. I think eventually, if you know me personally, you know that I've always wanted to live on a lot of land. So that still is the plan, to purchase a lot of land and to just be more like a homesteader kind of situation. So that's still what we want. Okay, so we're finally in our house. So my plan is to be more consistent, like I was before we actually moved, to be more consistent and to just really serve you guys in the best way I can. Next thing, so if you have noticed, I've been posting on my stories, I have started a podcast. Now, I did a really soft launch, meaning like I've only posted the trailer on some different areas for podcasts. I have not posted on iTunes yet. I plan on doing that right before my hard launch where I'm like, yay, there's several episodes up. Go ahead and have a listen. And the reason why is because like most people listen on iTunes. And since that's the case, I don't want to like tell you guys to go and listen unless I have several episodes. So right now it's just the trailer. And so the trailer is just 3 minutes. And I think you're just going to really love it. And let me tell you the reason why. The why behind the podcast. So the name of it is The Mom Care Coach. So the reason why I wanted to start this podcast is because I feel like it is so different than anything that I have seen personally being a mom of kiddos with special needs. It's something that is very sensitive and near and dear to my heart because I didn't really talk about it before, like I have to say 2 years ago. I really didn't do a lot of talking about it. It was more just I would post like pictures of food. And the reason why is very simple because for me it's just a sensitive topic and there were just so many issues that we were still trying to work through and get clarity around and everything. And so for me, I just chose not to share that part. But the thing is that is a huge part of my life. Being a mother of children on the spectrum of any really type of special needs. So my oldest is on the spectrum. He also has ADHD. My youngest has dyslexia and ADHD as well, and a little bit of OCD. And so it's been intense and it is a journey. And to share that part of myself is just, it's very personal and very intimate and very vulnerable. But this particular podcast is something different because a couple of years ago, I think it was like back in 2021 maybe, I was seeing a coach and I really thought because I have ADHD, and so I felt like one of the issues that I was working on was really time management. However, I was speaking to her one day and she was like, Victoria, I don't really think that's the issue here. I think the issue is lack of self-care. Now, if you knew me before I had children, you would never think that because I was the girl that was doing self-care all the time. But after you have children, your life changes, and then your life changes again when you get a diagnosis for your child. On the spectrum specifically, but I would imagine with any special need, but specifically with the spectrum because it's a spectrum. You never know if and when they're going to meet certain milestones and how it's going to affect them. And so your desire is to help them in every way that you possibly can. So you will, get all of the therapies. You'll have traditional therapists. You'll have like the psychiatrist, the psychologist, the occupational therapist, the speech pathologist, the neurologist, the, what else? Occupational therapist, the physical therapist, there's tons and tons of therapists. Your diagnostic pediatrician, developmental pediatrician rather. You will have so many different areas. And then for me, I have both of my kids, an ABA, as well as art therapy, music therapy. Oh my goodness, there were so many therapies, it's not even funny. Dance therapy, movement therapy. There were so many therapies. So I had my kids literally doing everything in every way I can possibly imagine, which I think is really common for a lot of mothers. When you get that diagnosis, you're like, okay, there's so much that I can do and I want to do, especially when it takes so long. We had the waiting list for a little while, not as long as some people, but because of that, I wanted to do everything. I wanted to pour my heart out and just help my kids in every way that I could, and I did that. Okay, so going back to why this particular podcast and how my coach just really shared with me, Victoria, I think your issue is you're not scheduling yourself intentionally for daily self-care. Like, you're trying to, and it is masking like time management issues, but that's not the problem. One of the issues was lack of sleep, which is so common. I mean, who doesn't have lack of sleep if you're an autism mom? Some kids, learn how to kind of navigate that and everything. But my particular case, that was something that we were still living through. We still have issues with it, but we have found different things to help. But at the time, it was the sleep issues. And so, I tried to put my child down at a certain time, but you didn't know what time he was going to get up, and often it was just really, really early in the morning. For years, he was just getting a couple hours of sleep a night. For years. So there was that. There was elopement. There was just so many different things that we were navigating, and it over time became really difficult for me, and I started to have a lot of signs of burnout because I didn't understand how to navigate the self-care piece. And the reason is this: generally speaking, when you're getting advice for self-care, there's different ideas, different schools of thought. There's the 5 a.m. club. There's you do this, and you have a certain amount of time you do this and this. But for a lot of autism moms, it doesn't work that way. You need a schedule that's more fluid. Now, of course, you may have work hours where you have to be there or different things like that, but at home, you need a schedule that's more fluid. You still need to address the different areas, but it's done in a different way. So going back to the podcast, this podcast is 100% on daily self-care for moms. And then goals, if there are monthly goals or different goals for self-care. But honestly, 99.9% of the times on this podcast, we are talking about daily self-care for moms. Sleep, mindset, nutrition, and movement. That is really what we're getting into. We're not actually talking about the kids. We're talking about how the mama is able to improve herself and avoid burnout and replenish herself and just pour into herself in the way that she needs to, because it's not about having, priority where you have to do this at a certain time, but it is about, okay, I need to look at my needs intentionally and how can I fit that in? How can I create a schedule that's more fluid, that's going to work in my life and what we have going on? And so there's tips and tricks and all of those kinds of things that I teach on this podcast. So it's just such a labor of love, and I'm so excited. And I'm going to be giving more details. And if you are wanting to be a part of my launch team, meaning going and reviewing and all of those kinds of things that I'm going to be requesting, people, if you want to do that to help me out in that way, I'm going to be doing some giveaways and some prizes and stuff, because I think that the information that I'm sharing is so pivotal and so important. I know of some other podcasts of mamas who have kiddos on the spectrum. And what's really cool is that we all have this different idea of how we are addressing the different challenges. So I know mamas that are addressing more of for the mother to stay calm and different techniques on how to do that. And then there's other podcasts that talks a lot about the kids and alternative methods and how to address different needs that they have with health. And then there's other ones for learning abilities and how to do all of those things. And all of this stuff is so important so that you can just really feel really well cared for. But on my podcast, The Mom Care Coach, we are really just focusing on mom care. How can we care for mom intentionally, on purpose? I'm practicing self-care, which I believe is a part of self-love. And I know Like in the Bible, when it talks about, showing love to yourself, that's how you're showing love to others. And I mean, there's verses for that, and I may post one later. But it really goes into understanding that if I'm not caring for myself in the way that I need to, what happens is I'm not able to show up for the others that I love in the way that I want to, number one. And then number two, when I do show up for the ones that I love, I am not able to pour from a vessel in the way that I would like to be, that I would like to give of myself. There's a difference between making breakfast and then making breakfast that you've poured your heart into. It can be something so simple, because I always believe in making every day beautiful, and just, because we never know how much time we have on this earth, and just showing the ones that we care about them in the way that we want to do that takes energy. It takes strength. It takes tenacity and belief. And what happens is that I have seen, because I was a director of a clinic for kiddos on the spectrum for a little while, and what I would find, mamas would come in to talk to me, and they would pour their heart out. They would share with me. They knew I was a safe space, and so they struggled with the self-care piece, but they never knew that it was actual self-care that was the issue. And so that's the true area that I am starting with. Now, when I think of self-care, yes, I think of those 4 areas, but I also think of aligned living, which goes into being a safe space for yourself, holding boundaries for yourself so that you can feel safe in your body, because your body is your home that you are in right now. And with the idea of being a mom of a kiddo on the spectrum, that takes work to do as well, because we have different things that we navigate on a daily basis that neurotypical families just may not, that I've ever seen that they have to deal with. IEP meetings can be, come on, they are their own thing, as well as how to navigate the school system and how to get the help that you need in all of the different areas. So there's that piece. And then also there's the piece of being able to show up in the way that you want to show up so that you can avoid burnout. And the reason why is because I remember that first couple years, I felt like I was fine. I was going, helping everybody do all the everythings, but not prioritizing my own self-care journey, my own health. And what happened was I slowly started to have those burnout symptoms, and I was totally trying to mask it. But it came to a point where I was just exhausted all the time. And I really had to change some things around. And I'd have to say probably 2022. 2021, 2022. Yeah. I started changing things. I started grounding, like having my bare feet on the ground in the grass. I started making sure first thing in the morning, having sunlight hit my face, which was hard because I had an eloper. But I give tips on that too, on how to get your self-care in. I started having certain herbs that I would have every day. Of course, I've done my shakes and my green drinks, but I was needing more daily lifestyle habits that really completely changed my health for the better. So I'm going to come on here again. I'm going to give more information, more tips, more about the live launch, more about the podcast itself, and I want you guys to ask questions, because I want this to be something where I am giving love and support to you guys and sharing the journey of being a mama with kiddos on the spectrum. So thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope that you have an awesome night, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks. Now let's see how we turn this off again, being that it's been a little while.